Hey everybody, how's everybody doing today? Hope everybody's doing great, wonderful. Obviously, my day's getting a little bad because I shrunk. Or maybe I'm sitting and she's standing. Either one. Anywho, bringing today, hopefully, building my horizontal hive for the bees.
I'm so excited. The nuke it's doing good. We want to give them an area to expand. So this is going to allow us room to add more and more frames as they grow.
And we don't have to bend down as low or pick up really heavy stuff. We can actually inspect, do everything frame by frame.
We're getting older, so
a little bit, just a little bit.
The traditional bee boxes, they're great. I'm not knocking them at all. They're wonderful. But as we get older and we want to do this for the rest of our lives, picking up anywhere from 40 to 70 or more pound boxes of frames with bees and honey and brood, we're not going to be able to do it. And then also with the bee boxes, the bottom box is so low. We'll be having to bend over really low to the ground, and
I'm being a goof, sorry.
We're going to be able to have to bend over too low to the ground, and honestly, we're not spring chickens anymore. The horizontal hive is going to allow us to work at one consistent level and just pulling out frame by frame without having to lift heavy boxes.
And kind of keeping their, from what we think, I mean, we're nowhere near the experts.
No.
But from a lot of things I've seen, you know, it keeps them going in a line instead of, you know, going in a line and going up and going in a line. Yeah. I don't know. But anywho, I got plans off of the
horizontalhive.com. Dr. Leo.
Yeah. And he seems to be pretty knowledgeable. His plans are pretty nice. They're free. You can just print them off, and that's what I did.
I'll leave a link to his website down below.
So I've got a couple of different things I'm probably going to do to my box, making it. Then off the plans, but the plans are a real great idea for me. You know me.
He's got to tweak everything and make it his own.
I got to tweak, yeah.
But that's what homesteading is, right?
So far I've kind of got most of my boards all cut to length, well, for the box part, and planed down to the thickness I need and everything, so I can kind of start doing cutting the notches in and things like that I want to do. So
we aren't going to show you everything.
Yeah, I figure you don't want to be bored.
That will be boring, so I'm going to have it where Jeff shows you one thing, and then we'll show you what it looks like done. He'll show you the next thing, and I'll show you, because you don't want to be here for 10 hours, I'm sure.
Yeah, well, because we've already talked too dang long already. You've probably already fast-forwarded already, so.
Any questions you have, leave those in the comments down below, and we'll try to get back to you. We'll get started. I'm just the assistant today, so I'm leaving it all up to him.
Okie dokie. Alright. So, this is my end piece, and I thought about doing something a little different with it. This is going to be the front part. This is going to be the inside. So what I did was, I've got roughly about 1/8 of an inch separated here on my table saw. I'm going to cut me a groove like this, so it's going to go, you know, along this, and then I'll cut that piece out, so that instead of doing the standard putting it together, and you got that little bit of a crack that runs all the way along the edge, I'm assuming with glue and stuff it should work out pretty good. But if I make that just a little bit of a lip, then I can, when I glue it and everything, I don't really have to worry about a lot of weather or air and things like that getting around that crack, I'm hoping. So we're going to try that out. So just go ahead and just take your, if you got a long square like I've got like this, you kind of line it all up. Line it all up. Should just be able to take and score it a couple times with a sharp razor blade. That way you get your nice smooth cut. I mean, you can take it many different ways, I guess, to cut it out with a saw if you wanted to even, but I mean, it's just a little thin piece, so figure it would be no problem at all with just running it along the square here. So let me go ahead and chop these couple things up real quick and be right back. Alright, making, this is a beef ring. So I need to make the little lip that it'll sit into. And it's suggested to go 3/4 of an inch down, 3/8 of an inch out. So that it'll sit in there like so. Gives a little gap on the side for the bees to go by, gives a little gap on the top because you'll have a cover boards that go over the top of this, as we'll show later. So I'm still debating. I'm going to try to play with it a little bit on this old router that I picked up for super cheap. Of course, it's got its issues. We're going to see if I'm going to do this on the router, or I may just flip it over and just do it on the table saw. Because you can just raise it up and then recut it. Probably be easier and faster on that thing. So, but we'll see. Darn, that's about 7/8. Oh, pooh.
As long as they're all the same, right?
Even all the way down. That works. But, I don't know. What do y'all think? I think I'm just going to go back and put it on the old table saw. So, I think, because I've got a little bit of a lip right on this, I'm going to take my blade and kind of trim that off where it got that little bit of a lip because it went a little too deep. Could have been because I got the board kind of at an angle. I think what we're going to do now is bear with me. I think I'm going to set the table saw up and see if it runs a little smoother and easier on the table saw. Alright, my next step is I've got my cutout for the groove worked, I think, a lot easier kind of on the table saw. So I've got the groove cut to put the frames in. So when you go to his website, you've got the Hive box itself. If you want do a peaked roof, that's a separate set of plans, and then a screened bottom, which is another set of plans. And we're planning on putting a screened bottom on ours so that we can slide trays underneath there to put like diatomaceous earth to hopefully keep the ants and beetles from getting into it as much, because it'll be offset so the bees won't even touch it. So what you have to do is they suggest cutting you a groove. Ta-da! They said 9/16 by 9/16. I went 3/4 by 3/4. And then you'll just keep your little strip that you cut out, because you'll lay your wire down and then you can put that back on top of it and nail it all back down to give it a little more sturdiness and strength. And then you'll build out a little box. You'll build out a little box below this, and that's where your trays will go into. But I'm getting ahead of myself. So just remember to keep your little boards when you do it. And I did it easy. You're going to have to watch about your board kind of shooting back at you, because I just did it to where I could just run the board this way and then flip it and run it this way. That we don't have to do any adjustments. The better way would really be to probably run it on the outside when you make that cut, so that that board has a tendency to keep falling. You can carry it and fall on it this way instead of it being on the inside of your blade and shooting back. So just keep an eye out for that. Your preference on how you like to do it. This is just an easy way for me to do it. All right, let's get the real boards. And like I said, I always use a test piece because this is actually my second test board because I really cut up a board earlier. See, that's what I was talking about. You might want to watch out for because this board could have a tendency of just shooting back on you. But that keeps, there's my notch for the bottom there. I'm going to take this little piece, put it with it so that I can stick this back in a little bit onto that. Alright, most of the plans I've always seen, they just say, you know, screw it into the ends, you know, set you some pilot holes, put you some screws through so it doesn't crack. I don't know. If you haven't ever seen one of these Kreg jigs, I think they really make a lot better hold. Because it's got a specialty bit and you've got little specialty screws, but any kind of screw that's got like a flat screw head where it kind of stops on the inside of the wood. But anywho, I think they hold a lot better, which is weird, but they do. With it going in at an angle into the wood, it really holds a lot better. So I'm gonna just Kreg jig the insides together. Okie doke. Now, got my holes already drilled with
Kreg jig.
the Kreg jigged. The only problem is you think when you have something and then you go to go get it and you obviously used them all up on the last project and still never went to go pick any more up. Happened to me. So I'm gonna have to go get it. I need like some 2 1/4 or something like that screws. I don't have any. So I've still got other things I can still do to this before we start putting it together, which is making my entrances. So it's just putting 3 entrances on it, and I like this pretty part of the wood here, so I'm gonna make this my front. Of course, everything I do actually will be from behind. So, and then we're gonna, Shauna just got through whipping up some sawdust and glue to make our own putty fill. We're gonna try that out here in a little bit. We're probably gonna stick all that on there before we actually put it all screwed together too. A lot of people I've seen, you know, they'll router them, or they'll just, you know, you just make 2 drill holes and take a jigsaw. That's what I'm gonna end up doing. So I'm just gonna go here to the edge, get to about the center of that little spot there. Make sure that the edge of my paddle bit's gonna hit my line over here. Turn drill some to make sure it's gonna hit both sides there. Alright, we got our holes on each end. Now I'm just going to take the jigsaw. Okay, so I've got this Gorilla Glue I was going to try out because a lot of people use like that tight bond. But this stuff was, I believe, about the same price as the tight bond, and you know, the commercials say everything great about it.
Wouldn't hurt to try.
So it won't hurt. I've used it a little bit on some things around here, and it works really great. So they're good and clamped and sturdy, so that I can bring me a screw. Gonna drill the right way.
I love that. Love the Kreg jig.
Oh yeah, it's great. It's awesome. Alrighty, getting a little closer. So we got the box screwed up together, and I'm gonna get this wire put on the bottom. This is 1/8 inch wire. I couldn't find this anywhere. This is that same stuff I used before, but I had to get it like off of Amazon. So I don't know if y'all have got it in y'all's hardware stores or anything like that, but I had to get mine off of Amazon. Get one side lined up the long way and this way, and we can attach it and then kind of stretch it and cut it into place. Grab my handy dandy stapler. And the corner. One right beside it. And I'm going to try to pull this a little tight this direction. So, just simple. I'm just using my staple gun just to put these staples in it, because I've got those little strips that, using the table saw instead of the router, I can re-put them down here, and I'm gonna grab my little nail gun, probably maybe the 18 gauge nail gun, and then I'll tack those onto here too, so it'll even help more support the wire because the pressure of this going down. And this is the bottom, so that there's like that little bit of ventilation, plus any kind of little mites and little bugs, hive beetles, they can drop through this and land down below. So let me get finished with this. Be right back. Okay. Alright, so that went in pretty well. Got the wire down, and then these are all my little strips that I cut out from the cutout from here. Those little 3/4 by 3/4. Ta-da! It's gonna work out pretty good. Alright. Getting a little closer now. We still got to make basically a little tray that's going to poke out the whole bottom so we can set everything down. So I need to make some little platform. And then of course we need to make the lid or the roof. Haven't decided which way I'm going to go yet. I may just go with just a covered lid to go on it, or I may do an actual hinged roof. Oh, and then we need to put some little walkways in front of little bee entrances. So, alright. I'll get back to it. Well, I don't know if I'm getting the inspection done by this Carpenter Bee, or if he's giving the approval of the beehive. But look, we already have a bee.
Yeah, but I'm thinking he's wanting to eat it.
Yeah, probably so. But he could just be giving him his inspection approval. But that's just, funny. The things that happen while you're,
there you go, use the door.
So look at there. I think we got a thumbs up. Went out the door. Must like it. I'm going to go with that. Oh, so here we've got our the entrances, which these won't be active at first. It'll just be one. As you get more frames going in it, you'll have these other entrances open. The entrances, of course, they're 6 inches across, is what was recommended in the plans, a 1/2 inch tall. And then I've got these little boards that I put a 15-degree angle on, it said to do. And I made them to be 8 inches long, so they'll basically stick out 1 inch over. And I'm going to tack those on there.
Nice.
And that's the little landing pad to go in. Plus it gives a little angle so water, I guess, can repel. That's another nice thing about using the if you got one of those little Kreg Jigs or an off-brand Kreg Jig thing, it's nice because you just take all your screws, and when you're doing upside down work like this, you can just all kind of like poke them into that little hole they're going to go into. That way you can just go back along with your drill and your driver and just stick them all in.
Missed one.
Okay, been kind of playing around with these. I had a little bit of a curve in some of these boards, so I kind of took them through the planer a little bit just to get it. I'm not really worried about it being, you know, you can see that it's not completely flat flush here, but this is the very bottom that's going to be facing the ground. I just need it for my tray because, you know, this is the upper part. I'm going to have that tray, it's going to actually lay up against this, and then I have a little door here. That way with that screen bottom, everything can kind of catch, you know, fall through the screen, land on that tray so I can pull it out, clean it out. So I don't need it to be super smooth or flat. A lot of the plans, you know, you just use plywood, things like that, but you know, I'm really enjoying building all of this so far. Well, besides the wire, the screws, yada yada yada, and the glue, it's all the stuff that I've milled. So I'm just getting it to be done like this. I'm just going to nail it onto the bottom. Hey! Alright, so just to kind of go over what we just got through doing, we put the bottom that you got your screening from above, and we'll have trays, or either a long tray down below so that little bugs and everything can fall through. Keep away from the bees. The bees, you know, will chase them and they'll fall through. So then I've got a little door so that, you know, stops the air from coming underneath. This is actually, I think it says a window slash holder or some hook. Sash. But hey, it works. And so you can kind of pull that down. And I've got it set up on some cabinet hinges that I had taken off from when we remodeled the house that we lived in before. I just kept all the hinges. So that works out pretty good. And then the tray will go right here underneath. So that's going to work out pretty nice. And then I cut me a little 45 on this to kind of help bead water so it didn't sit up on top. So I think that's going to work out pretty nifty. And you know, it's just stuff I had laying around that made it work. So alright, so I think our next step is I've got my legs cut. I believe in the plans they call for cutting like a board about 30 inches. And you put a 45 on it, you know, to kind of help repel water. The board I had, I just cut it into a half, so it would, I think, was at 32 inches. So it's going to be like 2 inches taller. And according to the plans, they're saying come down about 2 inches. You know, that way you have all this to attach to keep the leg good and sturdy. So, okay. So just like always, if you see me I'm kind of messing something up here, let me know. Hopefully I'm helping some of y'all out there with some ideas or some tricks or tips, you know, maybe. And if, of course, you know, you're enjoying watching me mess up half the time and get things right half the time, please hit the, you know, little like button, the little subscribe thing, the notifications to, you know, so that we can always join y'all, and because we love sharing everything we do with y'all. So I'm gonna try to get these legs put on. I've got my little platforms also that I'm gonna put on. Alright, so this is what your leg should look like. And it's 32 from the bottom to the top of that 45. So, you know, knock off another 2 inches roughly, or 1.5 inches. So the plan suggests coming off the top, come down 2 inches. So it made me a mark right there, and that way I can put the top of that peak right there, lining up from the edge. And what I'm going to kind of do here is go across there. And so your board, you know, if you want to kind of mark out, then you'll want to go to the bottom of your 1.5 inch board, because if you put the little bottom that I'm going to have for the trays, that 3-inch screw is going to go way through this end. So you want to make sure that you might want to just mark that way in case if you want to do some pre-drilled holes, or if you want to get your screws and set them in to the board, you can kind of go, oh, well, I need to go in between this mark, and instead of guessing. Now I'm putting 2 here, 3-inch. I'm probably going to end up coming back here and putting in probably some 2.5-inch screws here just to go into this board for extra security. And I'm probably going to put one more like 2.5-inch screw here just to catch me a little bit more. So, like I said, I made mine, my entrance is 6 inches. I made this 8 inches so that it'd be roughly about 1 inch on each end. That's how I'm going to line it up. I'm just going to kind of eyeball it. I'm going to put a little glue, I think, to keep it from getting too much water down in there. Well, that actually made a little lip there, but alright. Okay, glue everywhere. I'm just a big old messy person.
Did you just wipe that on your pants?
That's what pants are for. Ask any guy what pants are for. It's to wipe your hands off with. Y'all just need to get the program and y'all can figure that out too. Okay. How's it going? So, trying to make the roof. Decided to go a little different than what the plans were showing. I ended up, it's got a little frame here. It's like 2.5, no, 2 3/4. That's right. Made 2 3/4, 3/4 inch. All right, well, 1 inch. I mean. I'm just all over the place today, aren't I? A 1 inch by 2 3/4 inch high.
But this isn't connected.
That's going to be the connection for, or the base for the roof. And then I just, real quickly, just made me some little peaks. And of course, you don't want to do anything in the front of the hive with your bees. That's why the door to get to the pan is in the back, and then this, well, the whole thing will, this will be lifting this away.
Yeah, so the hinges will be here, right?
So the hinges will be on the front. So, I'm just going to, I just tacked this together. I'm going to tack these together, and then I'm going to use some little 1/2 inch to make the roof. And then I believe I've got enough of that aluminum flashing to cover the top of this with the aluminum flashing to kind of reflect the sun a little bit, plus hopefully give it a good, decent ability to, you know, the water not to get underneath it.
I love it.
So I'm
really,
thinking this is turning out pretty nice, I think.
I really like it.
So let me get to tacking these things down. Lost my pencil. Yes. My top is, you know, like 22 and a half-ish. So I made these 26 and a half-ish to, you know, half-ish. It's always close enough. To overhang, you know, that extra 2 inches. So we're going to put us one looking more like a beehive. Ha. Alright, so there's my little boards for my roof. And lift it up. Got a nice heavy duty chain to hold this up sturdy. And I have it to where the hinges come across here, and they're those same cabinet hinges. And then this board goes up against this. The reason I put this strip board in here is so you're going to have your frames here, and then you're going to have like a top board that goes onto here. That way it'll hit up against there, and then we know where it needs to stop over here. So when the roof comes back down, it'll be all good. I've got a little crack right through here that I was going to put ventilation through the ends. I think what I'm going to end up doing is put some screen on the inside for summertime, because it does get pretty warm around here. Then during the wintertime, when it starts getting cooler, I think we're just going to take like pool noodle or even just a little piece of hard, you know,
Insulation
foam board or something, and we'll just put it right in that crack.
Or we can put it here.
Or yeah, or we may just actually that's probably what I'll end up doing is I'll end up probably so I'll put me a little strip right here and a little strip on the other side, get me a piece that's this size, press the foam board into here, and it'll sit up against those, and that would do it.
Ah.
That's a good idea, honey.
Your wife is brilliant.
Isn't she? Now, I've got my roof kind of been set. Got that hinge to where it'll go. So now what I'm going to do is got some aluminum flashing that I'm going to run a piece on this side. I'll run a piece on this side, and then we'll put a piece in the middle to cover up both those so that all the rain will go down. So I've got it to overlap a little bit so I can tuck it under, and then I also need to tuck this edge under as well. So I'll get back to you in a little bit. Whew. Okay. We didn't have the camera going because we didn't want to look like, you know,
total idiots.
yeah, pretty much. Yeah. Yeah, so ended up the easiest way I found is I had a crack here in the board. I shoved the metal in to kind of bend it over. I know that they sell those, like, it almost looks like pliers, and they're, you know, they have different lengths of just like flat metal jaws. That would have probably been working a lot better on this, but I don't have those. So you do what you do, and all I did was shove it in a crack, and we bent it over.
And beat the heck out of it.
Beat the heck out of it. So
it's aluminum. You'd think it'd be more pliable.
It's a little thicker aluminum, I guess. So I just got these little staples that
you missed.
Yeah, I missed. Staple them right there at the edge of the board, and then I'll come up and I'm going to staple them up here along the top. Then the overlapping piece I'll staple through this too. I think I got an idea too is, I'm going to see how well it stays on there. I've got some of that aluminum tape. Then I'm going to run and stick down over the staples I put on the outside. Hopefully that'll keep a little bit less water from going through those little holes I make. So hopefully it'll stay on there too. All right, back to stapling. Okay. Yeah, not sure. We may end up having to redo the roof. I mean, it looks like it's going to work. I think I've got a few old shingles that we could maybe just put a few shingles or something on this.
I don't think so. I think it's fine.
Could be.
I think it's fine.
I don't know. What do y'all think? We've got it, you know, I put the two pieces here. That was fun crimping it around the edges. So just know that. That's a pain. Then I took that aluminum tape that I had. You know, the only problem is, you know, y'all may not have it, and that's kind of an expensive thing, I think, if you got to buy it.
We just happen to have it.
We just happen to have it. So I covered up where this piece overlapped these two pieces, and you can kind of see where those staples are, but I just kind of did it just to help, somewhat help the water not get into it, because we need to definitely check once we put it out, before we put bees in it, to see, you know, if it rains, or I'll take the water hose and spray some water on it and see what it looks like from there. So then we've got the inside here. We've got the screen tacked up in here for some ventilation, which could be too much, could be too little. I think it's probably too much. But like we talked about, we can put a piece in the wintertime up on here. And I think we could also take a little strip of wood or foam or anything like that, and we could shove it in here if it seems like it's too much ventilation. But let me know. Okay, everything's almost done. I still need to do the outside finish, but I really do like the little drawer, so that the bees are up in here, like in this frame. Everything drops down. And we still need to make basically a little wall that'll fit in here, go all the way down to the metal, all the way along the edges, because, you know, we may start like on this end. So they'll have this doorway to go in, but, you know, it may only be this many frames, because you don't want to fill it all the way up. You only want them to use what they want to use at the time. So I think it's turning out pretty decent, actually.
I love it.
I'm liking it. All right. Well, like I said, put a little sealer on the outside, give it a little flare, a little sparkle. Still need to get my little tray. I've got some ideas with some plexiglass I've got, maybe. So hopefully everybody liked this. Hopefully you'll share it with everybody you know. And we'll get back with you next time with the added flare. Probably gonna have to, you know, show you how to put the frames together pretty easy, but give you a little quick shot of it. And then show you we need to put that little wall divider in there too. So alright, hope everybody's enjoyed it. Y'all have a great, wonderful day. Can't wait to see y'all till next time. Y'all be careful. Have a good one.